that thing you've been searching for every day, probably for the majority of your life, that feeling of stability and inner peace, that quietness of mind, that just beautiful way of being, when you get in that nice flow state, that nice floaty state, usually when you do things that feeds your soul, so like, gardening, art, music, whatever you really enjoy, and you get into that creative place, that creative state, you feel that internally, you feel that energy within you, and you know that you're in those places when time just goes whoosh. Time is illusory. When you're working in that energy of creation, of love, in those high vibrational states, time has no meaning. Time has no meaning in the realms of spirit. We are spiritual beings anyway. Time is just a fixed thing that's been created as an illusion for us. But when you're in these beautiful flow states, you find that wonderful feeling of inner peace. But people are always searching for it. They're always looking for that inner peace. Like, I can't find it. Where's it gone? Where is it? And a great analogy is just to think of the sun. And the sun is always shining. Even when there's clouds, it's not that the sun's gone anywhere. It's still shining. It's still just behind the clouds, and the clouds are just hiding the sun. The clouds part, the sun shines again. And that's very much the same as your consciousness, your level of peace, that level of just beautiful flow, harmony, whatever you want to call it. It's always there. It's always present. So that's very much why in meditative practices, in spiritual practices, in meditation, we always look for the present moment, because the present moment is that light, it's that stillness, it's that calm that you've always been searching for, that you've always been looking for. So you don't need to look anywhere. And the only place that you need to go is inside, internally. And internally, when we go inside, a lot of people go straight to the head, but then the head kicks up and thoughts start creating thoughts and emotions as they do. And then you start overthinking, well, I can't find it in here. Where is it? Where is it? The mind is that busy overthinking and doing all the stuff that the brain does that, again, you lose that thing that you've been looking for, which is always already there. That sense of inner peace. So if we focus more on, a lot of people like to focus on the heart or the heart chakra. That is your true connection to your spirit, to your essence. Or you can connect to your breath. As we breathe, we fill the lungs. It's all connected to that heart chakra. It's all centrally in the chest. Or we can breathe into the belly, which really anchors us into the present moment. And we can focus on the breath and breathe into the belly and just find that nice flow state. And as we go through each day, we go to work, we come home, we do all this stuff that sometimes creates stress, creates frustration, creates anger, creates all these lower emotions and lower frequencies that we don't want to be in, because, again, we're having to look for this peace. But as we start to spiritually awaken and we start to move through these transitions and these frequencies, there's going to be a lot of that comes up anyway, a lot of anger and a lot of worry and a lot of frustration, because the ego is starting to subside. The ego kind of like always wants to be there, and the ego always will be there. But we have to have a balance with the ego of the mind. So you potentially are the ego. Your mind is the ego. When we start to look centrally, if we think of like the sun, the central sun, they call it. If we think of ourselves centrally, think of the heart chakra, think of that beautiful space. You can even visualize a beautiful pink or green light emanating from your chest, and speak to yourself. Speak to yourself with loving words, with kind words, with high vibrational words, and And they really help to focus and harmonize your energy to that frequency. The way you speak to yourself is paramount and is key to a healthy mind, to a healthy body, to a healthy way of being. If we're constantly speaking to ourselves with negativity, with negative words, we're going to bring that down into us. What we think, what we believe, what we do, what we are, creates that very being. So the more we try to alter and change our state, alter our thoughts, alter our way of being, alter our breathing, that in turn alters our physiology. Just changing your pattern of your breath and the way that you breathe, breathing into the belly, that changes your physiology. It allows your physical body to go into more of a flow, harmony state, a rest and digest state. If we're always breathing in the chest, then that's where your anxiety comes in. So really trying to focus that breath as deep as you can. And I mean, I know you don't breathe physically into the belly, but if you feel the belly rise and fall as you breathe, you're bringing yourself into a nice relaxed state. And the more you do it, and the more you speak to yourself harmoniously, and the more you give yourself those words of positivity, those mantras during meditation, whatever it might be, the journaling, writing out the positives, writing out things that you want to achieve, things that you can achieve, things that you have achieved, writing all that out, all these little things, little snippets and little tips that I'm doing in these short videos, they all build up and create almost like a bank of, it's like a bank of just ways of being internally. And it stops all this stuff from overtaking the mind and overtaking the body and overtaking your physiology. And so just these small things in each and every day that we can do to recalibrate the system, to find harmony, to do like a little bit of, sometimes I like to talk about when I'm giving Reiki to new clients, or when we talk about meditation or hypnosis. The way I like to describe it is when we go into these deep healing states, I try to describe it a little bit like when we come to defrag a hard drive on your computer. We do it maybe every week, every couple of weeks. And what's happening when we go into these deep healing states, these theta states or alpha states, is basically your subconscious mind is just pulling out all the crap that you don't need, and it's just getting rid of it. And that is what is happening. That is what is going on. And the more you start to lift this stuff out, and the more you start to reinstate positivity and positive mantras, positive words, positive feelings, switching the mindset a little bit from being negative to positive, just switching that on will totally transform your whole being. It will totally transform your whole life, and you start to see life in a totally different way. And as you start to see life in a totally different way, you become that different way, and you start to feel it internally, you start to feel it in the mind, the body, the spirit, and everything comes into harmony, everything comes into balance. So another wonderful little tip for you, just be aware of how you speak to yourself, be aware of how you talk to yourself, use positive words, positive affirmations. Be aware of your breath, be aware of your breathing, try to breathe into your belly. And just remember that wonderful thing that you've always been looking for, that peaceful place of being, that harmonious state, it's always there. It's only when you want to actually search for it or be in it that you're there, but it is actually always there. And the more we instill just that natural way of being internally within us, the more it is easier to access and connect to. So I hope this helps. Like and follow for more. Subscribe to the channel, wherever this video goes on to, and I'll see you in the next one for more mindful mental health tips. Toodaloo for now.